Hello there, Bev. Good to see you again.
Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you.
It's been great to know that Bev's been with us. And it was 2011, when still a very full member of this congregation, that she first went over to Paraguay on a short-term mission. She caught the bug, went to CMS to study to be a pioneer mission partner, and went back to Paraguay longer term as a volunteer pioneer mission partner in September 2017. And then last year, she upgraded her position to a full mission partner in April 2020. But as many of you know, life got in the way with COVID, and she actually got stuck in the UK until about September last year. Did I get that about right, Bev?
Yes, I think that's very good. That's the whistle-stop tour of my life.
Good. But you know that we've been looking at how we are in his presence. Tell us how God has shown his presence to you and through you this year.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. So some of you remember I came back for my formation training in January of 2020, and the plan was for 3 months and then to go back. But during the time I was in Oxford from March till August, many prayers that you were involved with were answered in that I had prayed for God to equip me, prepare me to go back through resources, through studies, through many ways. And that's exactly what happened. CMS invited me on to a few courses, and I did a few studies, but I had lots of different conversations, and it seemed that the Holy Spirit was leading me into some new areas of study and equipping me for things that I had no idea how he was going to use them, but I trusted the conversations I'd had with some very spiritually mature people that support me. And in September, when I came back, I began my studies in spiritual direction. In fact, the first week was I was in quarantine in the hotel for 2 weeks, was actually when I started. And over the course of this time, we have been in lockdown at the school, and we have delivered all our classes online, as we have with our church, with the chapel. And so as a result of the changes, and there have been a few months this year when we started to relax, but now we've had to go, as the UK has, had to go back into tighter restrictions again. So we are actually in hybrid classes in the school, but we are still now online. We did open the chapel for a short while. But it was through those studies and through how God was leading me into new things that new opportunities arose for me. And it was really starting from a point of God working through me personally in my prayer life, through contemplation, through being still. I'm an active person by nature, and doing is something that I find more comfortable than being, which is more of a challenge. But through the times over the last few months, these new opportunities have started to take shape. So I can say a little bit more about that if you like in a moment. I think you had another question for me, but
Indeed, yes. Well, it really follows on, because it's a question of how God has shown his presence in his mission in Paraguay and since he called you back in September. How has it been for you? How has he made himself known to you?
Yes, so when I came back expecting, in a way, to continue with my new role that I was invited to take up in 2019, prior to my return to the UK. So that was to work in the school in my new role as a chaplain, school chaplain, and I was licensed in September 2019 to be the pastoral leader, the lay pastoral leader, licensed by the bishop to lead the team in the St Andrew's Chapel. So I expected to come back. Of course, God has his own plans, and we've seen all the unexpected changes that have happened during the pandemic. But taking a look at the bigger picture, my expectancies of what he's called me into and what God is already doing here in Paraguay, there's been further changes, quite significant changes that are beginning to impact on me, but also on what I expected my role to be. And I was reminded, just because I'm going to be preaching about it a little later, John 3:8, where it says, "The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit." And I feel that God has given me peace about it, that he's leading and guiding me through his Spirit, inviting me most recently to join in new opportunities that have come about in most recent weeks as well, after a period of waiting. So if I can expand on that a little bit, when I came back to school in the February, I was informed that we had a new chaplain in the team, and so my role would be more focused on primary school, and the new chaplain, who actually was my ex-pastor who had returned to Argentina when I took up the role of pastoral leader when he was unwell and needed a transplant. He was invited back with his family to be a full-time chaplain in the secondary school and with the boys. And I would be working with all of primary and with the girls in secondary and staff in secondary. So this was a big change. It was a positive change because when I came to the chapel in 2017, Pastor Donald was the pastor, and so we already had a relationship, a working relationship, and a good one. And so it was a very positive thing that I saw, but it did actually then raise the question as what was going to happen in the school and in how I believed things were going to go forward. And so with the Anglican Church, so I wasn't sure when Pastor Donald came back whether he would be expecting to take back the pastor's role in the chapel. However, the Anglican Church is also going through its own changes. Some of you have been praying for the new bishop that we've been waiting for Paraguay. And last year, again, the Holy Spirit moving in unseen ways, although we had a new bishop elected in the synod, because of the provincial bishop's decision, he was not able to take up that role as bishop because he has yet to complete 10 years serving as a presbytery priest. And so in the meantime, two things have happened. The primate, the Archbishop of South America, has retired back to Paraguay. He is now the Bishop Emeritus, and he is also the father-in-law of the elected new bishop as and when he can take on his role. So he is working very closely alongside us in the Anglican Church, using his wealth of experience. And he was also, in the 70s, the chaplain of the school. And so he has a breadth of experience in the school as well. So God is really using him to come alongside us as a team, chaplaincy team, and also a new chaplaincy team, and also the vicario, who is the person who's been elected in the absence of a bishop, a very experienced pastor from the interior, who has a lot of experience of the Chaco as well, but he has less experience of the school. And so we're very grateful for all of the experience that we're getting and insight that we're getting through the retired primate of the province, Archbishop Greg Venables. And so things are changing again. And also on top of that, during this time, I've been kept busy online. As a result of the training and the studies I did last year in lockdown in the UK, I studied Christian mindfulness, contemplative prayer, and also audited a couple of short courses with CMS, and then began my spiritual direction studies in September. So we're almost a year later. And I also became, in September, a postulant for the third order tertiary Franciscans in Las Americas. And so now I'm a novice, and I'm beginning to be more involved in new things there. So as a result of all of that, new opportunities have started to happen in those areas of prayer, spiritual direction, and formation. And so 3 times a week at the moment, I'm involved with various group Zoom meetings where I'm either leading groups in English or in Spanish. And so what's wonderful is seeing how God is using the things that he equipped me with and continues to equip me with in new ways. And so particularly in the Spanish groups that I'm involved in, Lydia is a women's prayer fellowship, and we met internationally yesterday on the eve of Pentecost for an alabanza, but I'm the coordinator for the prayers, intercessory prayer for Paraguay. But it's wonderful to see that the women represented, the coordinators represented all over Latin America and also Central America and the Caribbean. With regards to the third order Franciscans, I'm beginning to lead, as a novice, beginning to lead the groups in Spanish again throughout Las Americas. So a lot of the South American countries are represented in that weekly group. With regards to the spiritual direction, there were a group of women that I befriended in the UK last year, who I completed my training, my course with in Christian mindfulness and contemplation. And so as I am now starting to gain practice hours in spiritual direction, I'm leading that group with their kind invitation once a week in contemplative prayer and spiritual direction, group spiritual direction. And I've also just this week been invited to introduce Christian mindfulness to a group of women in the UK in June. So there are lots of new things going on. God, through his Holy Spirit, continues to amaze me in how he equips us. He calls us into new situations if we're just willing to be open to his Holy Spirit moving in new ways. And we do believe here, I do believe here, that through the pandemic, there is a hunger for more contemplative type of prayer and small groups and prayer groups. We're also continuing with our churches together daily prayers on Zoom, which I can't attend all of them, but I attend which I can, which is really great for the unity of the Anglican Church here. And we also, as an Anglican Church, meet together either in the cathedral or on Zoom every Wednesday for Bible study, for prayer, and for some direction from the bishop in terms of the future of the Anglican Church here in Paraguay.
Wow.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
That's amazing. Gosh, there's so much going on.
There's a lot going on. And so I think, yeah, that's the thing, is trying to get the balance between.
That's great to get a flavour of what it is that you're doing at the moment, Bev. Clearly God has shown his presence to you and is showing his presence in the mission in Paraguay and elsewhere. It's remarkable that you can be part of a mission that is going forward in so many different countries, so far apart, really. That's incredible. Thanks for that, and we'll hear more from you when you come to preach later in the service. Thanks for doing that.
So much.
And we'll talk to you again later.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you all. Take care. Bye.